Hey everybody, it's me, the Einstein in Wall Street. Outside, it is springtime in New York. We are outside the New York Stock Exchange, the greatest financial institution in the world. These are crazy times call for extraordinary measures. This is a moment in time since February 19th, the first moment that Mr. Trump, this isn't a political thing, this is reality check. February 19th, markets were trading at record highs. Now, the only similarity between every crash going back to the crash of 87, the 2000 internet bubble, the 2007-8 financial crisis, and the COVID crash, the only similarity in all of them was that before they happened, markets were trading across the board at record highs with banking spreadsheets in solid condition, customers at the top of their game. Right now, I don't know if I really want to call what's been going on over the last 8 weeks or, maybe 10 weeks a crash. We're surely calling it a mini crash. But what's happening since the moment Mr. Trump, that day on a Thursday, that he started, that the words uttered out of his mouth about imposing a tariff on Canada and on Mexico, and the market sold off 70 points on the S&P 500, that began this whirlwind that we've seen, right, which has led to a complete breakdown in the confidence of the market because of the bipolar sort of, unknowns, the uncertainty, the lack of clarity, right, that is the way it's been disseminated coming out of the White House, that we really don't know. Still to this day, that was February 19th, still to this day, with all that's gone on, with the market down 15, 20%, some of the stocks are off 50% from their record highs. We don't know anything more about who's getting tariffed, who's going to suffer, who's going to benefit, what the costs are, what countries, than we did on February 19th. That's insanity. There is no clarity there. Look, it's all about the messaging too. If we had been given a sit down with a very simple news conference, said, you know what, whether you like it or not, I'm the new sheriff in town. I want to have imposed tariffs. This is who's going to get it. This is what it's going to be. We may be a little flexible. We may move around and negotiate a little, but these are the facts. This is what's happening. The market would have dealt with it. They can deal with anything except uncertainty and surprises, and that's what we've gotten nothing but since February 19th, and that's why the market is where it is today. We're here with Dan Ives. I know you've been dying, right? We have been on CNN every night for the last 10 days because it's an extraordinary moment in time. This is history being made every single day on the market, and they want Dan and I on CNN to be able to talk to the 70+ million people that watch that show at the 7 o'clock hour, to have some understanding the way Dan and I, and only Dan and I, can disseminate information in a way that's accessible, right? Assimilatable, that people out there are able, they're calling us the Xanax duo, right? We're able to keep everybody calm around what's going on. Yeah, we get a little wild and crazy, but at the end of the day, we're laying the facts out. Dan, welcome back from a long voyage.
It's great to be, but that's exactly it. It's like so many times we've been here in terms of just can't find any bears, bull market, how high.
23, 24.
But we always talk about you're going to have moments. You don't know what the shock is. It's how you navigate it. And ultimately, I think that will define you years from now, how we navigate this period.
It's like life too. It's not a matter of life. Life deals you. Looks like when you get lemons, you got to make lemonade. Life will throw a lot of things at you. It's your reaction to life that is the most important. That's what defines you, right? And it's the same thing here with the market. How are people reacting to what's going on? We are not in control of what comes out of the administration and the White House. However, we have to deal with the situation and try and spread the message of some kind of clarity and dismiss some of the uncertainty. Because look, we're being thrown a basket of, I don't even want to say it, a basket of poop that we have to make sense of. So let's talk about where we are here today. Over the last 12 weeks, this market has spiraled down to levels. We are off the lows. We have had a couple of bounces, but clearly that to the point where Mr. Cramer, right, deep respect for Mr. Cramer, actually said, what is it going to take for people to start buying stocks again? People have been shocked and awed by the uncertainty and the madness coming out of the administration. They are talking out of both sides of the mouth. And there's all due respect to the president. He's the new sheriff in town, whether you like him or not. This isn't political. It's a matter of a market that is going through turmoil, right? We are talking about trauma. People's 401ks are looking more like 201ks. A lot of money, trillions of dollars, has been taken out of this market. And so what we want to do on a day-to-day basis is try and make sense of what's going on.
And ultimately, I mean, you've talked about it so much. It's like you got to get deals on the table. Talk, it's
Talk is cheap.
but you got to get deals on the table, and you need de-escalation because time's ticking. In the reality of all the products coming out of China, the raw materials that's been cut off, the tariffs, we're talking now 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then consumers are going to see it. You're going to start to get the emails. Due to tariffs, we're raising our prices. We have shortages. And our whole point is that you're going to see Trump administration continue to take steps back. You're going to have to get deals on the table. And then you're going to have an earnings season. You'll have minimal guidance. Street basically is going to discount, mulligan we'll call it, June and September quarters you're basically going to throw out.
Right.
You're going to start looking at 26 earnings in terms of valuation.
Right.
And that's how you're going to navigate this period. But the core, the names that you want, whether it's NVIDIA, Apple, those don't
Target,
change.
Walmart.
Those don't change. It's about levels and what the variations are in terms of tariffs and what that means for businesses. I mean, that's the reality.
Okay, so what Dan is really basically saying, we're at a point here right now where this is starting to affect the economy. Growth is being affected in a huge way. Companies are so uncertain they are not even able to offer guidance. When you know what guidance is? Guidance is earnings are what happened last month. Guidance is what's happening next month. When you don't know what the tariffs are going to be and what products are going to be tariffed, what countries are going to be, right? You don't know. Look, think about the complicated logistics of boats full of containers coming out of China, trying to get to America. We're already talking about that there may be an interruption on products getting in here for Christmas.
But it's going to make COVID disruptions look like eating a sundae.
Really? You think it's that crazy?
Look at the boats. Right now, if you look, it's double the amount of cargo ships idle outside the major ports in China, just even in the last week. Double. So what's happening is those ships are just piling up. No product, nothing's being shipped here.
Right.
You got 2-3 weeks inventory. And that's the reality. Time's ticking. And until you understand rules of the game, none of those companies are shipping with 245% tariffs.
So let's explain that. Let's break it down. So can you imagine you've got a boat full of products trying to come to America, and there is a looming potential tariff of 145%. Right? So you don't even look, that's cutting into any profitability that you may have had. You realize that Apple actually, before the tariffs, which we still don't know what they are, actually chartered 5 major cargo planes, flown into the United States with frigging 1 billion iPhones on there so they could scoop under the net and getting under the radar to get here before the tariffs were imposed. Think about all these boats that are sitting in the China port, right, that first of all may not have product on them. Those that have product already on them can't leave the port because the people here, the customers within the small business sector, may not be able to afford the products on there if the tariffs are 145%.
You better off almost dumping the products. Then
that's what they're considering.
Then bring it because I mean that's the reality. In it, and that's why these CEOs, whether it's Home Depot, Target, that message is now getting to the White House, and they're going to need to take steps back and a de-escalation.
So think about it. Really, there's the price of the product, price of goods sold, right? Then there's the margin on profitability. And if you have a tariff that's twice, 3, 4 times the amount of the profitable margin, then there's no point. You might as well just dump the products into the Sea of Beijing, right? At that point, that's what we're talking about. But what Dan is really describing is an interruption in the logistics of the supply chain. If you go back to COVID, remember everything came to a complete stop, right? Nobody was cutting down trees that you were going to plant because there was no growth in the real estate sector. Nobody was building houses. I mean, all the things that we don't even think about, we take for granted, that go into a day-to-day part of our lives about how we get food and eat food, how we build houses and live in houses, all that stuff, the product chain, all the things that we use on a day-to-day basis come from somewhere.
And especially tech.
Think about tech. Yeah, go. Tell me.
Every chip, every technology piece,
right,
where does it come from?
It comes from
Asia.
China. Correct. Or Asia.
And where are those chips, the materials that they come? 94% of that material is in China.
It's in China.
You can't all of a sudden be like, okay, we're gonna, move to something in the
right.
and that's what these companies are being faced with.
Right. Well, we're also talking about, look, so Mr. Trump is offering options about, well, we're going to start building factories in the United States. Building a factory is minimum of 5 years
4 to 5
out,
years,
right?
yeah.
So that's not an alternative. That's not an opportunity at all. So look, we don't want to catastrophize the situation, but we are 2 to 3 weeks away from this situation getting serious. At this point,
and that's not a debate.
That's reality.
Yeah.
So look, I'm here on the floor trading stock. Dan is out there talking to CEOs. He knows what's happening. He's monitoring those boats coming out because he needs to go back to the people who are investors with his company and give them the facts about the sustainability that these companies are going to be able to continue and what is the cost and what is the impact on those companies, because these are stockholders. These are investors in the market. They need to know these things. And what they're being given is ugats. They got nothing. They don't know anything. The amount of unknown and lack of clarity in this situation is. So let's go back. 2 days ago, we had Mr. Trump picking a fight. We had Tesla on the ropes. Musk was hanging out way too much in Doge, trying to find some money that was bad money, right? He was not paying attention to Tesla. Tesla is suffering the consequences of that, trading at 50 cents on the dollar from its record highs. President Trump is picking a fight with Jay Powell, who, in my opinion, right, irrespective of politics, has gotten us down from 8.5% inflation during COVID down to 2.5%. He's done a spectacular job. He learned the lesson from the financial crisis when they put $800 billion into the market over 18 months. It took us 6 years to get back to even. COVID, $3 trillion into the market over 3 months. We were back to even by August. That's in my opinion one of the best heads of the Federal Reserve we've ever seen. So the fear, why did the market sell off 1,000 points when he was going head to head against Trump? Was because what you don't want happen, first of all, is have somebody as the head of the Fed who's just going to listen to Mr. Trump and not look at the economics of it all, because this could spiral us into we could start going more towards a much higher level of inflation. You don't want to have the captain of a ship that's about to go down or get hit by a giant wave change in mid-course.
Look, you just summed it up. And I think now, you go through an earnings season where you're going to have minimal guidance,
right,
and even the guidance can be significantly caveated,
right,
blindfolded darts. And reality is, like, if we're looking at, S&P under 5,000 or S&P at 6,000, a lot of it really depends on one person, Trump,
right,
in terms of which way he finally takes us. And I just continue to believe the market is telling you we're getting closer to deals on the table,
right,
de-escalation, and I think we get to a new normal. And at least if baseline tariffs are 20%,
right,
then at least you know the rules of the game.
We'll deal with what we have, right?
Because you always say the worst thing that could ever happen,
right,
is uncertainty.
Right.
And right now, you don't know rules of the game. You need to know the rules. That's what the street is craving.
Look, you cannot be playing a football game and then every time you get near the goalpost, they move the goalpost.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line. Then there's no game. Then there are no rules. And then that's when things are just like dogs and cats living together. Fire and brimstone. It's absolute madness. So, 2 days ago, we had a 1,000-point down market over the lack of certainty. Elon Musk doing what he's doing and not paying enough attention to his multi-billion-dollar company in Tesla. You had Trump picking a fight with Jay Powell in the market, not liking that at all because of the more uncertainty and more trauma into the marketplace. Suddenly, yesterday, there was a 180-degree flip by Besant, by Trump, by Musk. Spectacular. I mean, if this holds, we could start making deals. Okay, that is the key. That's what we need. We need deals to start checking.
Besant's the one.
He's the grown-up in the room.
He's the one that has the street credibility.
Right.
he's the one that needs to be speaking, needs to get deals done.
So that's what we need. We need deals to be done. We need certainty there. We need that Kmart and Walmart and Target need to know what the tariffs are going to be and what the timeline is about getting boats here. I mean, these are all the things. These may seem like it's really out of your wheelhouse, but these are the logistics that are necessary for all of this to work. I mean, can you imagine? Think about COVID when you went to the store and the shelves were empty. There were no eggs. There was no bread. There was no milk. I mean, that's what we're looking at.
Of course.
Christmas. There are no toys. There are no anything. Right? The bottom line is we need to get that on board. We need to start making deals, get some clarity, and maybe that's where we're going. I'm a guy who's manifesting hope. Right? I am not sitting here saying he's not capable of it. He's incredibly capable of it. But it's got to get done.
And time's ticking.
And time is ticking. And look, all the head CEOs have obviously gotten across the message. They're probably in the White House talking to the press, telling him we need this done. We need deals on the table. We need to make nice with China. This is not a time where you walk away, grab your ball, and leave the playground in a bit of a pissy match. That's not going to help anybody. That's why what happened yesterday when he said, okay, this is not sustainable. The negative aggressive narrative, not sustainable. Besson said that. President said, we're not going to pick a fight. Jay Powell, I love Jay Powell. He's my man. He's the greatest of all time. We're not going to get him out of here. Musk, you know what? I'm going to step away from Doge a little bit and I'm going to go back and focus on Tesla because it needs my attention. That's the kind of action and clarity that we need. That's what we're heading towards. And I know, look, Dan and I are not here to diss the press. We're not here to create a catastrophe. We are here to try and explain to you what's going on and hope that this positive action that we saw yesterday, it's carried into the market for a couple of days now. We're up 3 days in a row. This morning, apparently, China said we're not in talks. The president said I talk to them all the time.
My name is not Dan. I mean, yeah. I mean, like
right. Yeah. I don't know who you are. Right. And the market is still up. What does that mean? That means that people have read through the lines, okay, and they're seeing that deals must be on the table.
India,
this has to be done.
Japan, South Korea. You need to get by the weekend. You need a deal.
It's Thursday. By Sunday, deals are going to be.
We talked about last Sunday.
We said that nothing happened.
No deals.
Right.
But then remember what they did is they had no deals. Trump kind of that Monday morning got all frustrated.
Right.
And then all of a sudden started to de-escalate.
Right.
Saw Besson start.
Right.
So it's just, look.
It's happening. We just need it to happen on a little bit of a faster timeline because damage is being done. And if we wait too long, it's going to be really hard to undo the damage that's been done. And once the logistics that Dan is describing get to a point where those boats are backed up to a point where it's going to take way longer to get back online, right? Then we're in trouble.
And also make sure you don't break your iPhone because
it's going to cost $26.50. You don't want that to happen, and that's all I got to say about that. Trade like Einstein, Money News Network, Dan Ives, Einstein and Ives, the duo. This is the Xanax duo. I love you all. See you later. Be calm. Be at peace. We're having a kumbaya moment, right? We are manifesting all positives going to the White House. We know that Mr. Trump can do it, and he can kick ass and take names later. Yes, sir. Boom.